Hello. Are we live? Everybody good to go?
I hope so.
Normally I have bump music
so.
to let me know, so.
I think he told me that we were going straight into it. I don't think he told you.
That's all right.
I think he just saw me throw the thumbs up and then realized, yeah.
Well, I'm
us off,
Raven
Raven.
Young with Town Talk host, and we also have Jeff Simmons with Simmons Says host.
Yep.
And we are sitting down with Kenny Moffitt.
Yep.
So which district commissioner are you?
12th.
12th. Okay, so we talked to Carl Bolden this morning on Town Talk.
Yeah, I was
so-
listening a little bit. and
Okay. All right. So Simmons kind of put this out there yesterday. Was that when you announced this 2 days ago?
Yesterday, we had Steve Glenn called in, District 11 commissioner, and we also had District 1 commissioners Christy Ross called into the Simmons Says program yesterday. And as I was talking to Steve Glenn, he put the challenge out
Yeah.
for everybody to go out to Roy Foster Road.
Okay.
Where I think that's the epicenter.
That's where it started.
of the debate for
It
this
is.
right now. It's happening, and then I also said, hey, we'll challenge every commissioner that if they want to come and speak on our program, and that we're going to go live from 2 to 4, and people can come in. And again, we're live. We'll turn this mic off because nobody's on it right now. But we're going to be live, and we can go live at any point. So if anybody, we'll probably come in and out with any of the commissioners that come in and sit down.
Yes.
But Mr. Moffitt was one of the first ones that reached out to me by email and said, hey, I will be there, and we were just going to say, I guess the first thing, what has been your take on the County Powers Act? And I know that there was some new language that was added today potentially, or would have to be
Yes.
passed and amended.
Have you seen that? New?
I have.
Okay, I'm about to say because Terry Bell left me with a copy of it.
Right,
so.
and I've got the original copy that is going to be in our packets.
Yes.
sir.
That's what I have.
Yeah, so I have the old one,
Right.
and new one.
Correct.
Yep.
And the older one is the one that's in our packet. It's the one that will go to the commission and will be voted on. It can be amended while we're in when it gets to the floor. Somebody can say that they want to amend it or amend the language or whatever. But so I've got that, and this is it's a pretty hot button topic for
It
everybody.
is, Yes.
Seems to be. Go, Raven, I mean, you take it away.
Well-
you're in the captain's chair.
Yeah. Okay. So, I live in the Dibble area, so I have an opinion. Obviously, you kind of heard as Carl and I were talking back and forth this morning. But I think we just kind of want to give each commissioner the opportunity to speak, I guess, their piece to some extent. But also, what are your constituents saying to you as well?
Well, it's kind of both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually, for those in the 12th district, if you're listening, I have a Google form on my personal and my commission Facebook page.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go find that and see if I can put that in the comments.
Yeah. And it is super important, I know, to both Commissioner Bolden and myself to hear from the people in our district. We want to speak for the people. That was why I was elected. I wasn't elected for Kenny Moffitt's opinion.
Right.
I was elected to speak for the people of the 12th district. So that's really important to us. And this is a topic it's tough because you have two sides of this coin that I heard Christy Ross say it's a lose-lose.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
And I've said we're between a literal rock and a hard place. We have if this thing gets voted down and the County Powers Act isn't enacted, then we open ourselves up to quarries anywhere. And while I know I've heard several people say this is it's theoretical,
At Champion and
Nobody-
McMinnville, daylight savings times means it's time for you to
Nobody
save the
knows
daylights out of a new
exactly
Chevy or
what's going
GMC.
on.
Right now, you can save up to $17,000 on the new Silverado or choose a
As we are
12
also
Razor Attraction
Sorry,
for just $23,995. Get over
Tell you what, I'm gonna go
$7,000
grab
off a new
Connor real
GMC
quick.
Sierra 2500 HD or save $10,500 off a Sierra 1500.
we're
I'm
just gonna
Alex
let it run.
Nate.
And I'm
Yeah.
Amanda Nave.
We put the family in family-owned business.
And our family will save your family a lot of money.
Champion and
All we're
McMinnville
really
on
doing is
Spark
say, hey,
Street
Champion
or
Chevy,
championchevy.com.
congratulations, get you that
We
extra
are
head.
professional grade.
Douglas and
oh, that's okay.
Yep. Again, Mr. Moffitt, you were saying that we're in a rock and a hard place
Yeah.
situation. So
We are.
sorry.
I mean, if this thing gets voted down, then we open ourselves up to rock quarries everywhere. Anywhere that there's acreage that they could potentially come in, then that sets us up for that. If this thing gets voted in, and we'll talk about this in a minute because of the understanding of this County Powers Act. If it gets voted in, it seems to people feel like it steps on their toes. What can we do? What we do with our property. They're telling us what we can and can't do. And so you don't want to infringe on people's rights. And you also, you don't want the 77 people out there, you don't want them to suffer because of this situation. And again, we've talked about it's theoretical because in DIBRL there's not permits. There's those things aren't even in existence. But this is the what if situation.
Yes.
And I know those people out there. I actually stood on top of that hill. I don't know. I've not heard anybody say, but there's a cemetery on top of that hill.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody has mentioned that, but there's a cemetery that dates back into the 1800s that sits on the very top of that hill.
That's on the property
it's on
in
the
DIBRL.
property currently in DIBRL.
All right.
And so, so it's I don't want any of those people to suffer. There's families out there with children. There's elderly people out there that can't really get out of their house. Lots probably on fixed incomes. There's people with breathing problems that have emphysema and COPD. There's veterans that live out there. And if they start blasting, then what does that do to all those people? The silica dust that is going to go into the air, the damage to the roads that's going to happen on Roy Foster Road with all the big equipment. I mean, so it's a tough spot to be in.
We keep talking about the County Powers Act, and this is what we have. District 12 Commissioner Kenny Moffitt here. And again, we've put out the call. Any district, any county commissioners, you can tag them in the comments. Have them come out here. We'll be here from 2 to 4 p.m. We can go live at any time between 2 and 4 p.m. For people to speak on it. When were you first kind of made aware of the County Powers Act? No, the Kenny Powers Act. Somebody even said it last night. The County Powers Act, and how much have you seen the language change maybe in the last week to try to revise this County Powers Act?
Well, we were made aware a few weeks ago of this possible issue. It kind of started when we heard about people talking in DIBRL about, hey, this thing may be coming in, and what can we do to stop it? And then it got brought up that the County Powers Act was probably the closest thing we could do to stop it, just because of the way that the Tennessee Code was written already.
Yes. And
so then the language really, some of it has changed. It came to our committee because I'm on the Policy and Personnel Committee. And that's where County Executive Bell, put this and to really send it forth to the full commission. And I think that's an important thing that and I heard him say this morning, it's important that the entire commission get to vote on this, and not either not kill it in commission or committee or pass it. So I think it's a really important thing. And then since then, the language has changed a couple of times to be able to add a few things. We added the word mining while we were in committee.
Right.
And I heard this morning, just so we can clarify, I've talked to a couple of people since this morning, and just to kind of clarify, the question was asked, does this apply to like crypto mining?
Yes.
The spirit of that
because that's what DeKalb County's dealing with right now.
Correct. But the spirit of what we're doing doesn't address crypto mining, and that can come in the definitions. We can add definitions and make sure that that's clarified. But really, the mining associated with things that are blasting related to rock quarries, sifting dirt, not necessarily so much, but it's the blasting that's the big thing. It damages homes. It creates silica dust. So there's a lot of things that puts out there. But the crypto mining, that's something that could be addressed in the future. And I know County Executive Bell mentioned that this particular County Powers Act, it's a standalone thing. It doesn't grant carte blanche power to, the commission to just start, regulating a lot of things. It's solely regulated for quarries, crushers, and mining, and hard stop. If you want to add something else, you have to start this process over again, and you still have to get 2/3 votes.
Yeah, that's super majority. It keeps going through.
Yeah.
You were talking about the damages and the potential, the things that can happen around a rock quarry. We will have Caden Hurley on here in a little bit, where he went out and talked to some people around the rock quarry that is located around Highway 8, the Rogers Group rock quarry. So he talked and had some comments that he got back from people about living around the quarry too. So that might be able to share a little bit more insight.
Yeah.
Both, and I think the opinions varied as they seem to have been on all these topics this week. Talking about the language of this, I would. I don't even know if you need this clarification for out there, but you were on the policy and procedures. You were in that first vote, correct?
The five.
The five.
Okay.
And we should note that Mr. Moffitt, Chairman Tommy Savage, Donna Smith, Chris Rippey, and I believe that was Steve Glenn would be the five that were on the policy and procedure. Okay. When they voted unanimously 5-0, they only were voting to say this was going to the commission for the full commission. Mm-hmm. I know, because I think there could be some people that say, hey, well, those five voted yes to push it there, but then on Monday night, if one of those was to vote no, they say that's flip. They're not. They wouldn't be a potential flip flop.
Right.
They just each of you five, I think, correctly, in my opinion, said that this does need to be a full commission.
That it's
vote.
important for the entire commission to have a vote and not just
that was what those yeses were. Right. Those were not necessarily yes, we are in favor.
And
of
it wasn't
passing
anything yet or anything. It was just moving it from that committee to the full board.
Right. And you know, and I mentioned, I'm sure people, it's one of those things that the people in every district need their voice heard.
Yes, sir.
So, and you're exactly right. It was just a vote to move forward. So if Monday night gets here and, you know, one of the five of us, you know, has a different, you know, if we say there's a no vote, it's not that we're flipping what we said. It was, you know, we have to get this to the full commission so that all 24 commissioners have their ability to do this. Even if we had killed it in committee, then that makes, I feel it would be unfair for, that for those other areas of the county, they wouldn't get a representation because we would have just killed it in committee.
Right. Yes, I agree.
Yes. I really appreciate you coming in and talking to us about
and
this.
So Carl earlier said that y'all are going to have tonight at the Lucky Community Center at 5. Is that correct? Okay. So for your constituents to be able to go up, and I did share that link in the feed as well that takes you to the Google Doc for your poll there.
Good deal. Yeah. Yep. Like I said, I do want to reiterate. I've talked to the county attorney. I actually made a point to call him because that was something that it keeps popping up on Facebook and on Chatter, and about the language, and everybody talks about, you know, read Section 1. That was one of the big things. It's like the language in Section 1 is, you know, it's pretty.
Which, and technically, you have to adopt that first, correct?
Right.
And then you make this resolution to amend that.
And the way that this is written, again, is if we adopt the County Powers Act as a whole, it is only to address, it's a tool in our toolkit to say, we have this and we're going to regulate. There has to be a resolution to follow that to show what you're going to regulate. And it can be one thing or it can be 10 things. And in this case, it is solely regulated. It's solely designed to regulate quarries, rock crushers, and mines, as you know, as it result, is talking about the quarries and stuff and blasting.
I'll kind of ask you the same thing that I've asked a couple of the commissioners who are on my show today, and I know Raven's talked too. How do you foresee the next 96 hours of your life being? Because I mean, I would assume, I won't say, I think that you're approaching your town hall tonight and then the rest of the weekend with a very open mind of, I need to know what District 12 wants me to do by Monday.
Absolutely. You know, it's not about my opinion. It's about the people that we're going to go talk to the people in the 12th district. Regardless of how I feel about it, and I've even talked to some of the people that live out in that area. I said, you know, if, you know, the people of the 12th district ask me to vote no, it's my duty as a commissioner to vote no for those people because they elected me to be their voice, not to be my opinion. And so I think the next 96 hours is probably going to be hopefully full of phone calls. My Google form, I've got a couple of people that have asked me to contact them because on the form it says, number one, you know, do you live in the 12th district? So I can find out if that's, you know, if you're legit in that 12th district.
Yes.
And then one of the last questions is, would you like for one of the commissioners to contact you? And I've had a couple of people want to be contacted, and I've reached out to them, and I'm waiting on a call back from a couple of them. And so we want to talk to them. We want them to come out to the town hall tonight. We want them to be able to voice their opinion, you know, for or against. And that way we can hear all sides. And if there's any misinformation, maybe we can clear that up for them. And either, you know, maybe they see it one way and then, or they see it another.
How long have you been serving on the county commission?
This is my first term.
First term.
Okay.
Is this the most hotly debated topic that you've had in your terms? So
Absolutely, so far.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, I will say, and not to make light of this situation, and I think people, I mean, even saw somebody saying, that in some aspects we were trying to make fun of it today. I don't think
Yeah,
there's
I don't
anybody
think
trying
we
to make
are.
fun. I think
No,
we're trying.
not at all.
I think
We're trying to get accurate information.
We're trying to
out
get as
there.
much accurate information as possible. I will say one thing that I am really proud of with all this. I think there's a lot more people actually know what district they live in,
Yeah.
and who their district commissioners are.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
not joking. I legitimately think. I mean,
Yeah.
I was sitting at lunch today and had two people that said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, what district am I in?" So I sit there and
Yeah,
figured it
you
out. and
can
said,
look it up.
Here are your here, and that, so
Look
I
it
mean,
up.
I think in some aspects this is driven
Yeah.
more than ever, and I would
Yeah.
hope that also means that in 2026 when we have elections,
Yeah.
that more and more people. Will
Well,
vote
and
you.
even talking with Carl this morning, I mean, he's been on for several terms. I think he said this is his third term on the commission, and he said this has definitely been one of the most hot button topics
Sure.
that he's ever endured as well. So
I do want to.
it's a big deal. I mean, it really is.
It is a big deal because on both sides of the fence, you're talking about human capital
Mm-hmm.
and how it impacts those people out there. It impacts their lives. It impacts their property values. It impacts, everything. It impacts
Mm-hmm.
the river, Mountain Creek out there. The cemetery that, like I said, I don't think anybody's mentioned that. If something happens out there, that's going to have to be dealt with. So it's definitely one of the most debated things.
I will say, since I do live out there, the river or creek that is there, I know that it has been detrimentally affected by previous landowners there that have caused severe flooding down on Sullivan Road because of what they did previously in removing some of the landscape and trees and things like that. So I know we talk about how it's going to impact the rivers and the creeks and everything, but I know that what has previously been done has been detrimental to other people there. So it's kind of, well, why was that okay, but this isn't okay?
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know.
And I know
details of
that
all
TDEC, like, they were fined and there was a lot that went into
Right.
it.
Yeah.
But I'm just using kind of that as a comparison of, I know that happened and I know it was a big deal and TDEC got involved and everything and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars fine, but where was the problem with it when it happened then?
Right.
Because diverting waterways is a big deal.
Oh yeah. The other thing about out there that's a big deal is we have the quarry up on the mountain,
Right.
And but it's on the mountain and there's a lot of tree covers, and so this out there is 255 acres worth of wide open land.
Yeah.
So where does that dust go if they do start blasting? If that's what happens, where does the dust go?
Yeah.
All those people.
My question on that, though, also is, why are they going to be blasting out there? Because it's not a mountain.
Right.
It's not the same thing as being in the side of Ben Lomond Mountain there, where it's
You can really
Gibral.
only go down.
Yeah, but there's not that much to blast and to go for and to take away there. And that's kind of my point is it actually going to be blasting?
Right.
Is it going to be a rock
And
quarry?
nobody knows. I don't think
Right.
anybody has that answer because nobody's come forward to say this is the actual intention of
Yeah.
what we're doing. And
Yeah.
I think that's.
And I really wish they would.
It's
Like,
the
please,
unknown.
please, whoever, Rogers Group, Tinsley, whoever it is, I don't know, but can you please come forward and give us the information? Because that would be real great.
And if it's not you, just tell us that it's not you.
Yeah.
and then you have the do you trust the things that people say? Well, we're not going to be blasting.
Yeah.
And then everything goes forward and it moves well. And then it's
yeah.
like, oh, well, we're going to blast anyway. I did hear somebody say about the location of Warren County earlier, and I did want to bring this out about and it's really kind of an impact. Cannon County has this in place.
Right. Everybody around us does.
White, Coffee County has zoning, all that stuff. So we're the real bullseye of the area. So all the things that everybody doesn't want
Could come here.
could come here. I mean,
Could.
it's not necessarily limited to quarries. It could be all the other things that people don't want. And if there's no regulations, and while you don't want to take things away from property owners, if you don't regulate certain things, then all the things that nobody else wants will come here. And what does that do to our community? I do know, and I've heard them say, people, if this doesn't pass and it goes in out there, people are going to move. They're going to leave. I did talk to some folks, and they said property values, if this goes in, they're going to decrease. I mean, it could potentially decrease those home values by. I talked to Beth Martin, and she said when the chicken houses came in at Morrison, it decreased some of those property values by like 22%. So that's a big
Yeah.
deal. I talked to
Which
Levy
in
Glenn.
chicken houses is something we can't
And we
regulate.
can't regulate
period.
that. Yeah. I talked to Levy Glenn, and he said out there, he said they're going to have to work on that road. And I mean, we're talking, $100,000+ that is going to have to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It needs infrastructure. I mean, it's a side road.
Yeah. It's not just the one item. I mean, there's a lot of things, and I've been trying to reach out to all these people and figure out, what are all the other components that go with this, because it's not just an isolated issue. It's property values, it's roads, it's if they start running in and out of there multiple dump trucks and heavy equipment for a long time. What about where those dump trucks are going?
Yeah.
They're going to, they got to go somewhere, so
Right.
they're going to be up and down 56. And are they going to Smithville? Are they going to, to Morrison? Where are they going? And what does that do to our roads as a whole? And so there's a lot of things. And so on both sides of this, there's pros and cons, and we've got to look at it all.
Yeah.
Yep, a lot more to figure out in the next,
right.
about 90
We'll have
hours.
Yeah.
90
But we appreciate.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And if you're in District 12, please go talk to your commissioners tonight at the Lucky Community Center.
We'd love to have you.
Yep,
All
and
right.
I think we got Caden Hurley waiting in the lobby.
Yep,
He's
so
going
we're
to
gonna
come in, but we're just going to keep it running, I think.
Yeah,
But
just
Mr.
keep going. So thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
coming in.
So
We
much.
Y'all have a
appreciate
great
it.
rest of the day.
You too.
Again, we encourage any district commissioner or any
Absolutely.
county commissioner that can come in and join us. We'd appreciate it. Mr. Moss was kind enough to come and sit down with us.
Yes.
I have this that we also I did
Okay.
email all the county commissioners today.
What do you got?
Because I had multiple that says we just can't make it there.
Okay.
So I said, if you want to send me a statement, I will
You'll read
your
it.
statement verbatim.
Okay.
I got a statement. District 4 County Commissioner Blaine Wiltshire, as Caden comes in here.
And Blaine
And he said-
Wiltshire is generally very
Blaine Wiltshire
opinionated.
says, this is his statement verbatim. He said, please use my last email. And I see it. Anything that causes another resolution to be wrote, to be voted on just prior to it, doesn't pass my smell test. With the physical docket, hard copies being released today, it gives little time for extensive review. Also, we are told we could make any changes necessary the night of the vote.
Yes.
Also, we are told we could call another new just prior to the full commission meeting if needed, which would be rushed at best with limited debate time. I'm also afraid of how the Powers Act would be used if we had a county executive or a commission that were extreme in their use of that power. I'm a no for this.
Yeah.
Blaine Wiltshire, County Commissioner, 4th District.
And
1
that's
County,
kind of what
Tennessee.
I've said is that I feel like it's so rushed. I don't like to be pressured into something and not be able to have all of the facts, everything clear, that kind of thing. So same thing there. I feel like it's a little bit too rushed to get this voted on Monday.
Yep. So for the people scoring at home today, we have had Kenny Moffitt in the room. We just ran Blaine Wiltshire's statement. We just read Blaine Wiltshire's statement, and I can read that again later in the program as we mix in people. We have had Terry Bell, County Executive, who will not be voting
Correct.
on Monday.
Yep.
But Carl D. Bolden, who will be voting. We've
Yep.
also had Brad Hillis and Scott Rubley on our air today, and we
Yes.
had Steve Glenn and Christy Ross call in. You can see those videos on our WBMC Facebook page, 97.7 FM. That's a lot of commissioners.
That's 7 commissioners and an
we-
executive.
And we are also anticipating Michael Bell to be here at
Yep.
some point today while we're on live. Now,
Yep.
that being said,
I know that you and I have personally talked to other commissioners as well outside of this, so I'm not necessarily going to quote them or anything on air without them asking me to give a public statement.
Yes.
But we have talked to some other ones that I've also gotten their opinions on.
there was one commissioner that I talked to on Monday, and because I don't have his entire full statement in writing, I will not say what all he said to me. I will say I did speak to Cole Taylor
Yeah.
extensively on the
Yeah.
phone.
He's one of
this
them
week.
that we've spoke to as well.
That he was just not going to be here this week, but
Yeah.
he and I think he is.
Did we
like
ask
I said,
if he
I'm not-
wanted to call in?
Yeah,
We
wanted
can
to
let
call
him
in. Yeah, Cole. Yeah,
I don't know. Let's go call a text right now.
Okay, well, you might want to look at Connor and see if we can.
He's not in
accept it.
booth right now,
Oh, okay.
so I
well,
can-
that would be the thing is if whether or not
we can do old school. We've done it a few times. Put it on speakerphone and talk to him right through here.
Oh, if you want to try that, but in the meantime, maybe try to. We'll introduce Caden Hurley from the Main Street Journey. Make sure you're speaking into the mic, Caden.
Howdy,
Bring
howdy,
it, just bring it
everybody.
to you. It's a lot easier. It'll be a lot easier for you, I promise.
Me squatting over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw you on the video yesterday, so you're very comfortable in front of the camera.
Of course. I mean, I like nothing more than to be in front of the camera.
Yes. First, explain a little bit about what your week's been like, because you had a boots on the ground assignment that you tackled.
Well, you see, I wanted to address this really quickly as well.
Go ahead.
With my extensive comfort of being in front of a camera, I may have made a little bit of a mistake whenever I was talking about that teaser.
Misspoke.
Yeah.
Yes.
Misspoke just a little bit. So whenever I said I spoke with all these people, I attempted to speak with all those people. The most consistent answer I received was no answer at all, because, a lot of people don't like it whenever you show up at somebody's doorstep. And I wouldn't answer the door to a 6'2" Sasquatch who's out there banging on it with a little notepad. So.
You're banging on people's doors now? You don't know how to knock properly? It's just,
Yeah, well, I normally give the little...
It is a little bit different, though, when you go knocking on people's doors now versus, even a decade ago,
Yes, sir.
people are a little weary now.
Yeah. But to the crux of the matter was, where were you at when you were on this journey? Because you were sent off up to Highway 8, I believe.
Yep. Up and around that area near the Rogers Group Rock Quarry or the Rogers Group Inc. McMinnville location.
Okay. And
So
what's the roads were you mainly focused on?
So I focused on all the surrounding roads, but the most responses I got was on Dark Hollow and Jennings.
Dark Hollow and Jennings.
Dark Holler is right off of Highway 8 to the left there. That's that main road where it's at,
It is indeed.
for somebody that doesn't know.
Yep. So so probably within and somewhat in this vicinity of what we keep hearing, which is 5,000 feet type deal.
We tried to keep it pretty tight, keep it within 5,000 feet, but that goes in all directions. So I was hitting multiple different roads while I was going around, knocking on people's doors, trying to get in contact with folks to ask them, what's life like living next to a rock quarry? And there's been a lot of concern from people in Dibrow about it coming in. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to see what folks had to say who actually have been living next to a rock quarry for many years, most of them.
Yeah, how long has that one been in operation? Do we know? I mean, it's been decades.
It's been decades. Roger, you have it in your story. How long has Rogers Service been around?
Rogers Service, or Rogers Group, has
Rogers
been
Group, my apologies.
In service since 1908. Mm-hmm. They moved into Tennessee in the 1940s, and one of their locations in Oak Ridge was actually the site for the Manhattan Project. Huh. So they have quite a bit of history here in Tennessee as well.
But you don't know when this one here opened up?
I don't have the exact date on that.
Off the top of your head, that's fine.
I've tried to speak to a couple people
curious.
from Rogers Group, but so far haven't heard too much back from them.
Yeah. Now, that being said, you did hear back from people that you spoke to. Was there any unanimous thought process about the people around there about living next to a rock quarry, or I don't want to lead you in. What was the opinion?
It was a little bit divided. So some folks, I know 2 people from around Jennings, said that they didn't really encounter many problems at all. Mm-hmm. They live next to a rock quarry. They said they hear the booms every once in a while, but at a certain point you get used to it. Doesn't really bother them anymore, and they didn't have any real issues. Mm-hmm. Now on the other side, out near Dark Hollow, spoke with a couple folks, and the general consensus was they don't particularly like it all that much. They've had issues with dust being blown in. They said it's hard to keep their houses clean. Had one person who said that it had potentially, the blasting had led to some cracks in the foundation of their house. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I've read that can happen.
Yeah. Beyond that, water pooling from them spraying things down, and during even slight rain showers, they said that can be a little bit extreme.
Yep. So when you heard about the crack, you said crack in foundation,
yep.
Or crack? Did you? That's a pretty big, serious thing.
Right.
And I think that in a lot of aspects is exactly what people are talking about when they're saying, "Hey, I don't want a rock quarry near my house." Is there anything? Did you go any deeper on that?
I did a little bit. I spoke with the seismography company that actually installs sensors for.
He knows how to say it.
Rogers Quarry.
Yeah.
Or Rogers Group Quarry, and They couldn't give me any specifics because obviously they're contracted with Rogers Group. They wouldn't give me any of the exact readings. But what they did tell me is, on the record, any of the blasts that they've done have been within approved ranges. They haven't exceeded it that they're aware of. And as well, they don't even blast that much.
And
It looks like 1979
okay.
is for that property.
We got a question that said, did you talk to people on Stoneman Road? My assumption is you knocked on a lot of doors on Stoneman Road.
I did knock on a lot of doors and did not get many responses.
Yep. So I mean, again, I know there's this push of you have to there's one person that I know of this week. There's a reporter in Warren County that was out consistently days out in the community trying to ask these questions. So I mean, I applaud you for that. Even though
absolutely.
I know that even in your comment section, it was almost like you were getting accused of not doing anything.
You're trying.
He's literally in the.
Trying.
He's on Stoneman Road in front of the Rogers quarry, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you're still not trying to do anything. That blows my mind in that situation. Mr. Moffitt just made a comment that he said that I believe he spoke to a couple, maybe was it Miss Martin that he said that had said there was a potential of decrease in property
assessors.
Value? Did you ask anything about whether or not their property values had been affected by living next to a rock quarry?
I did, as a matter of fact. Multiple people I spoke with said, hey, we've lived out here pretty much all our lives, so we don't really know how the property value's been affected.
Weren't worried about it because they weren't selling?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a couple folks that I spoke with actually said that they had moved in after the rock quarry had been established. They paid fair market value for their homes, and that, as far as they can tell, their property values continue to increase, and they don't really see that there's any negative effects from having the rock quarry in that area.
So there was no debt. So no one has gone on record saying that it's been a detriment to their land value or their home value because they live next to a rock quarry.
No.
Or within range of a rock quarry. And I'm assuming every house that you knocked on, you could still probably see the rock quarry from where you were at.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, it's a wooded area, so you can't see it at every angle. But I even had multiple people say, well, you can't see it because of those trees, but if they weren't there, you'd be able to stare straight at it.
So that property there is 352 deeded acres. Like, it's a gigantic property. So, yeah, with trees, and it's also on the side of a mountain.
Yep.
Which is part of what I'm saying is a completely different landscape than what's in Dibble.
Or the rumored, alleged
or in Centertown
areas.
Absolutely.
It's a completely different landscape.
But that one is a big property, 352 acres.
Yep. So, Caden, lastly, do you have can you just give us a couple of quotes maybe? Because you said it was pretty varied, opinion varied.
Yep.
Can you give us maybe one or two quotes on each side of this? Just, again, Caden's not saying this. I'm not saying this. Raven's not saying this. This is people who literally live next to a rock quarry. Can you just give us some verbatim quotes on this?
Of course. And I will say as well, there was one concern that I didn't mention that seemed to come up quite a few times, which was having the rock quarry so close to Cumberland Caverns.
Yes.
Some folks were worried about that becoming an issue. I spoke with the general manager at Cumberland Caverns, and she's a geologist, very experienced, spent a lot of time in those caves, and said that it's never really been an issue. They can't even hear the sound of the blast whenever you're inside the cave.
But so it's not caused any cave collapses or anything like that.
Not that I heard of.
Okay.
So again, nope. So
Honestly,
alleviating a little bit of panic.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, they are close, but I hadn't really thought of that as an option. But thanks for asking.
Of course. And I'll go straight into this quote. I really couldn't say if my property value has been affected by the rock quarry. There's been lots of dirt and dust. They used to have really huge blasts, but now it's mainly underground, so it isn't too loud. There are cracks in my house's foundation that I believe was caused by the blasting from the quarry. It might have affected Cumberland Caverns and jostled around the stalagmites, but I'm not sure. I think the county should be able to stop rock quarries from being built in Warren County.
Okay. So that was cracking foundation, and a vote for the yes to bring in the. It's a vote for the rock quarry, to keep out rock quarries, which means you're a yes for the county powers,
right?
Because you can't do the resolution on rock quarries without putting in the county powers,
right?
Okay?
Exactly. And on the other side of this,
Okay. Of which there usually is.
yep, beginning with this quote, I don't think the county should have any input on what people do on their property. Most quarries, as of right now, are based on limestone. This quarry is going to be a little different. The government is trying to change policies to prevent the use of limestone on government contract jobs, so the only alternative is to use creek rock or river rock, which is why they would be installing a different kind of quarry.
And so that was from a homeowner and not necessarily like somebody at the potential rock quarry development or anything, right? Okay, that was from a homeowner. Got it.
So, continuing on, most of the time when they leave the quarry, this was addressing some other people's concerns. They said that rock trucks have been driving over the roads, potentially causing an issue. They said most of the time when they leave the quarry, the workers go straight to Highway 8, and that stretch of road is in great condition. The road headed to Highway 30 that goes in a different direction is in very rough condition or horrible condition, but workers generally don't go that way. They blast dynamite at the rock quarry occasionally, but I have gotten used to the noise. I have lived on that same road since I was born, and the most damage I've seen is a slight crack in the drywall at my mother's house.
And you said that was somebody that said that they've lived there in that area their entire lives. Okay. I mean, Caden, I just applaud you for getting.
Yeah,
it seems like you did a really good job of getting a lot of things, and then dug a little bit deeper because I agree with the Cumberland Caverns thing. Well, not even really came up in my mind on that, but the person who obviously you quoted is talking about that. We can assure them, it seems like, that we've talked to the geologists at Cumberland Caverns, and they say still doing okay over there at the caverns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that we can make sure that?
Okay.
100%.
So we at least answered that question.
Yep. And like I said, I also spoke with Vibratech, who monitors the seismographic impact of the rock quarry. They said they haven't gone above approved levels, so they don't believe.
To say, I mean, also because you had that one quote, it's not to say that even if it's not above approved levels, it still can cause foundation damage. As you said, in that one house, they think that their foundation damage has come from it. So there's still a potential for that either way, even if it's not above levels. But some of this is still just if, ands, or buts.
Yep.
Right. And the consensus that I had from Vibratech is that these issues may be related to other things, not necessarily the quarry. But once again, that's not me talking. That's just what I've heard.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Thank you, Caden. We will be able to read a little bit more about this on the Main Street Journal, I assume.
I believe that's the case, and there will be some of these individuals that chose to remain anonymous.
Yep.
There'll be some of them that are okay with having their names out there and will be.
Yep. And then also, and as you said too, I think we will all at least be identifying, even anonymously, in the general area where they were going through. I think we could put that maybe the street name. Let's not dox anybody that we don't have to dox here. I appreciate that.
And I believe we have Michael Bell out in the waiting area there. So if you want to send him in on your way out, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I won't take up a spot too much time,
That
but thank
would be
you all for having me
great.
on.
Yep.
And there was a comment on the feed that I do want to answer real quick, and I'll just do it on air so I don't have to type it out. And it says, for the sake of journalism, shouldn't you come take a tour of Dibble and ask the people on Roy Foster and Sullivan Road? But I think the point of where Caden went with taking the information was that we were trying to learn from residents that have lived with an actual rock quarry what their
Not people speculating on what a quarry might be like.
Yes,
so that was the point of going to Dark Hollow Road, Stoneman Road, out in the off Highway 8 area. That was why Caden went there.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that there's plenty of people that live around Roy Foster Road that have been more than vocal about what their opinions are on this. We were that there is a lot. There's a lot of people that are very opinionated on this subject, and they're going to continue to be very opinionated on this subject. This was a fact-finding mission for people who live right next to a actual existing rock quarry in Warren County, and that was the thought process of talking to them. Those are two different. I think those are two different scenarios right now.
I think so too.
And again, I think what we've been able to do with having. Now it seems. I think was this number 8, Commissioner number 8
we
in the
got
last
Michael Bell in the
36
studio.
hours? Yeah. If you want to put them headphones
put
on.
the headphones on and talk right into the mic, and it'll move so you can move it wherever you want to go.
Well, I thank y'all for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Jeff and Raven. Yeah, I've been listening all day.
I know. I wanted you
Have
on
you got
Town
it?
Talk this morning.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I have a job.
That's okay. That's okay.
And
I understand.
unfortunately, somebody else had took off before I did.
I know.
So I couldn't do that.
I know. Hey, we appreciate you coming in this afternoon, though. We really do.
And I'm glad Jeff sent the email out. And
Yes.
offered that. I actually answered him on Simmons Says.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the
I
other day.
appreciate that.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get everybody in. Mr. Moffitt came in and sat with us here about 45 minutes ago.
Yep.
Also, you can go on the Radio WBMC page on Facebook. You can see the call-ins from Mr. Steve Glenn, who I believe is
Also, yes,
that's
your
my-
district.
that's your
my
district.
counterpart.
Yeah. your rival or best friend or
Well,
what? Or depends. Never know.
Yeah. Me and Stevie usually gets along.
Yeah.
You know,
Was there anybody else that ran with y'all the last time? I
we
know
had
that-
two other gentlemen.
so y'all were the conquering class.
Yeah, we actually had four.
Okay.
In August.
Yep.
And how long have you been commissioner?
This is 7 years for me.
Okay.
Yep. So this will be so you're in the middle of your second term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, like we said, you can go on the WBMC radio Facebook page and you can see our comment where Steve Glenn called in to the Simmons Says show yesterday. You can also see where Christy Ross called in, and you can also find the programming where Raven was able to talk to Carl D. Bolden this morning on
Yep.
Town Talk. We had Brad Hillis and.
Right.
Scott
Rubley.
Rubley. Yeah, I was
There's
about
been
to
a
call him
bunch.
Scott Hillis and Brad Rubley.
We've talked to a bunch of
and then we
commissioners.
also had County Executive
Yeah.
Terry Bell here
Terry,
for a
yep.
roundtable as well. So I think we have
Yeah, we're
done a good. And also we read a statement from Blaine Wiltshire as
Yep.
well. So I think we've talked to a lot of people. But again, everything that starts with is, how's everything going?
yeah.
I'd like to have a good night's sleep.
I don't think you're going to get that until Monday night.
About 98 hours. Buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I go to bed thinking about it. I get up thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's bad for me. That's my district.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I know.
I'm hearing both ends of it. I've heard it for the longest, probably for the last 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it was being discussed not quite as loud as it is now, but before it ever went to the commission.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I was getting text messages, I was getting Facebook messages, phone calls, emails from the people on Roy Foster Road, Sullivan Road. What can we do? You know, and at the time, I was like, I'll have to research this to see where we go. And, of course, that's whenever I found out more about Grundy County and DeKalb County. I've read so much stuff. Sometimes it comes and goes together.
Yes.
You know, so.
Yeah. So that really. I mean, you said that this is your 7th year in the county commission. Was that really when you finally first kind of started getting a little bit more of an idea about the County Powers Act, or was that something that you've kind of been a little bit aware of?
I've
your whole
been
time?
aware of it, but I've never dug this deep in it.
Into the language.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's real deep.
Yes.
And you have to read it 2 or 3 times to really understand it. And there's parts of it that scares me.
Yes, sir.
You know, it bothers me.
Yeah.
And I was torn whenever we first started about this. But the more I've read and Way Roberts wrote the resolutions.
yeah, I have the new one and the old one.
Yeah, I seen the both of those.
Yes, sir.
And that's helped understand it. But it's not about me.
Right.
I'm here. I'm the voice for the 11th district.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, it's in my district. And y'all kept talking about numbers and polls. My poll is 90 to 10.
There you go.
Okay.
You know, 90% for it, 10% against it.
Yes, sir.
And I'm their voice, so I've got to go with my people. Now, that could change before Monday, but I don't see it changing. It's going to be a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, Mr. Moffitt mentioned that District 12 will be having I think a town hall that they were saying at Lucky CIC this
Tonight.
afternoon.
Yeah,
and then I believe District 2, which is Dotson and Cam Montgomery,
Okay.
I believe are doing one tomorrow.
Okay.
I think I've seen that. Is there any current plan of District 11, or is because of that 90 to 10, it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
well,
I think we're pretty settled
we,
here?
We pretty well had a town hall meeting last Thursday.
Yeah.
Because most of the people that was
yes, sir,
upset.
Yeah, I mean,
about
you had 100 people from the Dibble community.
And Carl invited me to come this afternoon to Lucky because Lucky.
I mean, it borders it. In Dibble.
Well, the road right before you get to Lucky is the 11th district.
Right.
So there's going to be people there from the 11th district.
Yeah.
I have that feeling.
Yeah, and I want to clarify what I was just talking about. For the people who, this is from the Charles Dotson District 2 Commissioner Facebook page. For the people who live in District 2, Cam Montgomery and myself will be having a meeting at the Newtown CIC Friday, April 18th at 6 p.m. to discuss the County Powers Act and rock quarry. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Mr. Bell, we were talking about this earlier, and I think we even said this. In some aspects, the one thing that I've seen about this, and I don't want to make this in light, but I do mean this sincerely. I think this has brought at least a level of awareness in this entire community to, A, who are your commissioners?
Yes.
B, what is your district? And C, what does this mean for both your district and your community, and the county as a whole? In 7 years, have you ever had a topic that has been this made socially aware among this entire county?
No, it hadn't. Even like Scott and them was talking this morning, the tax increase wasn't this bad. And even whenever we voted Jimmy out as chairman of the commission, we didn't.
It wasn't this bad.
Yeah. You know,
this one's something else.
And well, like I say, my phone goes to ringing at 8 o'clock of the morning, and it quits whenever I cut it off of a night. And there's been a night or two I've cut it off at 7 o'clock because I needed some
a little bit of time
to clear my mind.
I could only imagine, and I do not, and sadly, or I don't mean it sadly because I do think it's a very good thing that many people are voicing their opinions and reaching out as much as they absolutely can. But there is some time where you have to say, I have to have a little bit of moment to myself to understand where I'm at on all this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got a phone call Tuesday. Yep. I didn't get to return it till last night.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm trying to return all phone calls.
Right.
And I'm like Carl Bolden this morning. Me and emails don't work.
Yeah.
I've read them all. Yeah. But me typing that back in, that's not me.
Yeah. Well, and picking up the phone and giving you a call is generally the best way to make sure that everything is heard and what you want said and to be able to talk to somebody. Because a lot of times when you send an email, you don't know if they're going to get it or if it goes to spam or what it is. So picking up a phone and calling and talking to your commissioner is important.
And another thing is, too, on an email, if they don't put their address, I don't know if they're in the 11th district or the 1st district, and I'm here to represent the 11th district.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but I will say, speaking of emails, if you are a county commissioner, you can check your email box right now because I have been sending some emails this week, and it obviously has worked because we've had about 1/3 of the entire county commission on our programming. But you have about another hour if you would like to email me and respond with a statement because I know not everybody can get off work to be here at 2 to 4. If you want to send a statement, we will read. I can read your statement verbatim over air.
Cole Taylor said he'd call in momentarily, so we'll get to talk to him.
Get another one too, but Mr. Bell, as you said, this is pretty much a 90-10 thing in your district.
Well, it is.
And can you kind of summarize the overall feeling of what's been the impassioned plea?
The passion is we don't want it. We don't want the dust. We don't want the blasting. We want our community to stay the way it is. And you know. I get it. You know, I wouldn't want it in my backyard.
Yes, sir.
You know,
or
in some of them sense in their front yard.
Yes, right. Sir. Yeah, I think that's been the Rob Nunley NIMBY that we've been hearing not in my backyard is a lot of we continue to hear.
Well, I went and spoke to Rob and Seth while y'all was doing that, and Rob said I pretty well know how this is going to go. Yeah. I said, Rob, how am I going to vote? He said, if you don't vote the way I think you should, you know,
Well,
I hate to be you.
It was one of those, hey, 2026, you might as well not even put the signs out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we were talking with Terry this morning, and you can't make everybody happy.
No.
It doesn't matter what you do, one side or the other. It's not going to make everybody happy. That's just not possible.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like I said, I think that everybody, this is went back and made, and it's been very, it's been uplifting to know that as many commissioners that I've talked to, that I think everybody is doing what you said. They're talking to the people that they're representing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that's come to this table yet, Raven, you can back me up on this, or anybody that I've talked to on the phone or anything that said, I'm voting like this because I think that
Right.
way.
No, everybody's they're just like what you're doing, listening to your constituents, which is what you're supposed to do as a commissioner.
Yeah.
That's why you were elected in that position, to listen to your constituents, and that's what everybody that we've talked to is doing.
Yeah, I mean,
which is great to hear.
Well, that's what I was voted in to do.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't voted to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm the voice of the people.
Yep. This isn't a question that I've asked a lot of people, but in some aspects, I don't think anybody's been truly hardline told. I mean, I would, Raven. We've talked to a lot of people today. I could maybe guess.
Yeah.
But other than Mr. Wilcher's statement, I don't think there's anybody that's been 100% said I'm doing this or I'm not doing that.
Right.
But in Mr. Bell's sake here, and it as it is with District 11, we can or District 11.
Yeah, 11.
Sorry. 11. We've had 11 and 12 all day today, so I don't want to mess it up. District 11, I have a good idea of where you're going to have to go with this.
Yeah.
In any aspect, do you ever feel like this has kind of put you in the crosshairs of, hey, I don't like the idea of County Powers Act and the idea of it, but then I'll know that I have to embrace it in this situation?
Well, yeah, it scares me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It does. The way it was wrote, I'm not for telling people what they can do and what they can't do for land. I'm in agriculture.
Yeah.
I farm too. I mean, and that I don't want that. And another thing that scares me is what's going to happen in 26 if we get a whole new commission or a new county executive.
That's where I trust the commission now. I trust you. I trust Terry Bell. I really do. But what happens next?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah, and I think, again, Blaine Wilcher, his statement, we read it earlier, but I will read it again. Anything that causes another resolution to be voted on just prior to it doesn't pass my smells test without the physical docket being released today. It gives little time for extensive review. Also, we were told we could make any changes necessary the night of the vote. Also, we were told we could call another new just prior to the full commission meeting if needed, which would be rushed at best with a limited debate time. Going back to Mr. Bell's point and then to finish in Wilcher's, I'm also afraid of how the Powers Act would be used if we had a county executive or commission that were extreme in their use of that power. I'm a no for this. I think that in some aspects you're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
that everybody's a little bit worried about if a commission or county executive, that if you set a precedent of enacting the county powers, how it could be used again.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Wilcher. That's the scary part.
Yeah, but you've still said you're going to vote how your constituents in your district have asked you to. So.
Yes.
Yep. So
and they, like you said, there was 100 people in that room the other night.
Yes, sir.
And they was all from District 11.
Right.
Yep.
Granted, I've had phone calls the other way from other people.
Yep.
But like I said,
90-10.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that I think the tougher thing, and again, I don't mean that this is you have it easy here, because obviously you don't have it easy. This is in your backyard, literally, and in your backyard, Raven. I think the toughest ones are going to be some of the districts, some of these people in the districts where it is 49-51,
right. Yeah.
And they're going to have to go to the table making a really tough decision with not the 90-10 split. I mean, like we said, yourself and Steve Glenn, I think are pretty much you know exactly what y'all are walking into, but there might be people in District 7, District 4. My district's District 4 with Terry Hines and not Chris Rippey, Blaine Wiltshire. Well, Blaine Wiltshire, I already know the answer to.
James Hines.
Yeah, yes, sorry. Did I say Terry?
Yeah.
Terry was my basketball coach growing up. But I have Hines and Wiltshire, and I'm like, hey, in some aspects, we're kind of, I mean, you start bordering out into the Dibro area, like Pike Hill's right by my yard.
Right.
Or
but you're still a good distance
But you're
away
away from Roy Foster Road in that situation. So when you're not in your backyard, not in my backyard situation, what are they hearing? Because it could be anything. They might be just keeping a running tally of there's one here, there's one there. And then by Monday night, it's like, what's the final tally? And that's where I'm going.
That's where we're going to go with it. Yeah.
I just hope the people that's against it in my district respect what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Being the voice of the people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming on, Michael. Yeah. We appreciate it. I feel weird calling you Michael. I'm sorry. Every time I say that, I'm like, that's not your name.
I've got several names. But I appreciate y'all doing this.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And what the Main Street media has done.
Yeah.
It's made things a little easier.
Yes, sir.
Because, you can read what people's saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can hear what other people's saying,
Yeah.
I even listen to Chris.
Oh, no. Even listen. Hey, you know what? You know how Chris kept saying it's right in the name, County Powers? Yeah. Just tell him, hey, it's right in the name. Well, Sports Authority.
Me and Chris goes way back. We played ball together when we was teenagers. So I've known Chris for a long time. So,
yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Michael. We appreciate it and appreciate your opinion and being willing to talk with us. So.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of buffering, I guess, talking here while Raven I think is gonna try to get Cole on the line.
I've given him the number, so I'm waiting to see if the phone in Connor's booth and there rings, and then we'll see if we can get Cole patched on through here.
Yep. Thanks, sir.
Yeah. All right. So
Raven, did you think at the start of this week? I think there's
this thing like Michael said there. He's been dealing with it for several weeks. That a boy Taco. Yeah, there he goes.
Taco Bell. Yeah. Marcy croissants. Coming at you. Huh?
I have known Taco for a long time. So, yeah, it does feel weird calling him Michael. But anyways.
Yes.
So, like he said, he's been hearing rumblings and talk about it for 4 or 5 weeks now. I have too. I've been seeing it periodically. I think it started, there's a Dibble Midway Facebook page. I think that might have been where I saw one of the first things. Mm-hmm. And so I've been seeing it go through, and it's just been slowly picking up steam. And, it's just, coming through.
Yep. Again, we talk about it a lot that, I even posted this on my Facebook page when I was sharing our video where we were trying to, make sure that we were going to give everybody as many chances as possible to be able to speak on this was that, I didn't know that I was ever going to be in the middle of being someone that was going to be bringing this forth to the community.
Right?
And I know, and Raven, you talked about it before, and you said that we could even talk about it on there because I've had, one person in particular has been very adamant. Hey, you drove out there. You drove on the road. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
A lot of aspects is I've been trying to clear the battlefield here to let other people tell what they're thinking.
Right, exactly.
And that's what I've been, that's what we can get to that, but I'd like for all the commissioners to start saying some things first.
I think we might have Cole on. Let's see if we can answer a call real quick. We did have a little trouble earlier, but Cole Taylor? Hello?
Connor, can you pass him through?
Nope. Well, it went away now. Let's see.
That's why
let's try this one now. Hold on. I got a different button ringing. Cole Taylor? Nope. Okay, I tell you what. I'm going to have to call Cole on my phone, and we're going to do this old school and put it up to the microphone.
Okay. Well, you go ahead. And, again, like I said, I'll go back to, yes, Steve Glenn asked me or on the phone said that he would challenge everybody in this community, not just myself, but I was just the person that he was talking to about going in out to Roy Foster Road. So I did. Again, I've lived in this community. I'm 39 years old. I've lived in this community my entire life other than the years that I was in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. I'm aware of pretty much everywhere in this community. I've been to these places, but it was a nice refresher to be out on Roy Foster Road, and you could see I can understand when you start looking at the addresses and you start looking at where everything is here. The people that are very adamant about this, it was very obvious how close in proximity that project or the potential quarry can be. I understand the passions of the topic. That being said, I also understand the reason why there's a lot of people that said County Powers Act is a very slippery slope, as Scott Rubley put it on our show today, and I think other people have said as much in other aspects. And Christy Ross, as she said succinctly, lose. Mm-hmm. Now let's hear what.
All right, Cole Taylor, can you hear us? Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on.
You want to hit speaker?
Yep, I'm going to hit speaker. Okay, now say that again.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Raven. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, we can hear you now. Sorry, we're trying to do some really high-tech technology here because our phone wasn't working right. So I got you on speakerphone and a microphone so you can say your piece.
Well, Miss Raven, I'll tell you, this has been a big topic, and I'm glad that it has been. And it just lets you know that the people of Warren County care about things that do go on in the county. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a no vote on this. And just for the simple fact, I think it's county overreach. It's not today that I worry about; it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And put within the wrong hands, this thing could get kind of hairy, and you just don't ever know what might come of it. I just don't feel like it's my place to tell somebody what they can and can't do with their place, and or that they can or who they can sell it to because of what that person's going to do with that place. I just don't feel like that's our place to do that. I wouldn't want somebody telling me, and I wouldn't want to tell nobody.
Yep.
And I respect those people that will probably vote yes for this. I have no hard feelings at those people. I mean, it's going to happen. And I'll be honest with you, I feel for the people that it may affect, maybe seeing something from their home or their back door or whatever. I hate it for those people, but, I just don't think this is a good thing. I think there's too many there could be too many doors opened if you put this in the wrong hands.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, because I've said many times that I don't want a rock quarry. I mean, Cody and I live not far from there at all.
I know exactly where you live. And I actually talked to Cody the other day about this. He texted me and asked me my opinion on it. And when I told him my opinion, he said, I'm glad to hear that. And because, y'all are literally, y'all are right across from the Dibble schools. So
right.
It's going to be right in your back door in a sense, too.
I mean, it's not that we want a rock quarry because neither of us do, but we also don't. It's the other sense of, again, it's too much power and it's putting something out there that could potentially be a problem.
Precedent.
That's exactly right. And I respect, getting 16 votes on something is a big number.
Absolutely.
And that's tough to get anytime. That's a tough thing to get, especially on something like this. But, I'm just saying, if it's put within the wrong hands, it could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm a no vote. And I'll be honest with you, I've had a lot of text messages. I've had a lot of emails. I've had a lot of phone calls. And I'm telling you, I've had more no's vote no than vote yes. And even from people that actually live in these areas that are going to be kind of, seeing this or whatever. They're like, hey, we hate to see it come. I'll tell you a quote a man said the other day. He's a guy I talked to, and I think a lot of him. And I won't mention his name, but I will tell you what he told me. He said, I hate to see these farms done this way. And I agreed with him. I do too. I hate to see a farm sold and this happen.
Right.
But he said, if these people are willing to give that kind of money for a farm, then they ought to be allowed to do with what they want to on it. And he said, I don't like it. I don't like to see the farms destroyed, but it is what it is, and I understand why it's happening.
Yep.
I do. I hate it for the people. And, in a situation like this, me and Christy Ross have talked about it, and she has said that it's a lose-lose, and I don't disagree with that. I think she's exactly right. I think yes vote or a no vote, I think we lose both ways.
Yeah, we've talked about it today, but both with just Michael Bell and Terry Bell this morning. We're not going to make anybody happy no matter what comes out of this.
No, you're not. Hey, I think that's just government, ain't it? Or is that just life in general every day?
You what, Hey, that's.
But I like I said, that's kind of where I stand with it right now. I just don't think it's a great idea.
All right.
I feel good and confident about the county commission that we have today.
Yeah.
And I feel good about executive what we may get tomorrow.
Cole, because what district number are you exactly?
We're District 10. Me and Gary Prater, District 10.
Okay, so there has been some discussion of potential quarry or sifting rock, whatever, out in the Centertown area. So what have you heard, or I guess what's your opinion kind of on that?
Well, I have heard that. I've had a few phone calls about it, asking some questions about it. And, everybody jumps to oh, they're going to be dynamite and they're going to be blasting, and they're going to be blowing stuff. It's
right.
But I'm going to be honest with you. When I hear rock quarry, I think of a mountain. Okay, there's no mountains, and there's no mountain at Dibble. There's no mountain in Centertown that they're going to be doing this. And to tell you the truth, Raven, we've already been dealing with somebody that's been mining and sifting rock for about 4, 5, 6 years now.
Right.
Longer than that, I guess. Mr. Fred Hall,
and nobody's complained.
Well, I think the subdivision was a little upset about it to start with, that he's back against. And that's the thing. Fred's his operation is literally like feet, like hundreds of feet, not thousands of yards, or not. It's hundreds of feet from a subdivision.
Right.
And they weren't real happy about it to start with, I don't think, but there's no blasting. There's nothing like that.
Okay.
And I feel like that's maybe what we're going to get in Centertown and in Dibble too. But hey, listen, none of us really know.
Exactly.
And that's another thing too. How do you vote on an assumption?
Right.
We don't know. We really don't know. We think we know, but we really don't.
Yeah, it's not been confirmed.
But it's going to be a great county commission meeting Monday night. To tell you the truth, you'd think that there was a tax increase at hand here, as much talk and as much stuff's going on.
And that's what everybody said today. Even the tax increase didn't receive this much heat and press.
It didn't. And no, it didn't. So I encourage everybody to show up Monday night, or hey, turn on your televisions. Yep. Or get on YouTube and watch it live, because I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of good discussion about it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a no vote, but hey, those people that need to vote yes or have to vote yes, I completely understand. They got to listen to their constituents, kind of like we listen to ours.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, thank you for having me on to talk with you. And I thought I heard Mr. Jeff in there.
Yep. Simmons is here too.
I just don't want to yell across the table at you, Cole.
Hello, Mr. Jeff. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. I thank you so much for showing up.
Are you getting a lot of phone calls, Jeff?
Man, I'm getting a lot of phone calls.
That's great.
Getting a lot of emails and everything.
Well, that's what I love about Warren County. When something's going on, people get excited, but I also want people to realize too, make sure you get educated on things before you just go to making accusations, and just do your homework. Do a little homework. Me and Raven talked about that the last time I was on the radio. And do your homework on stuff. And either way people vote, don't be mad. Don't belittle them. Don't down them.
Yeah.
If they vote yes and they're in your favor, that's great. If they vote no and they're not in your favor,
then that's okay too.
Don't belittle them. Don't down them. That's okay too. Look here, we're a community. We got to stick together.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Tyler.
Hey, thanks, Cole. I appreciate you taking time.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on the lake fishing. I ain't gonna lie about it.
Well, you have
I'm on Gunnersville Lake fishing.
Well, you have a good weekend. We appreciate you,
Y'all
Cole.
have a good one. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
There we go.
Hey, when man's gonna fish, you gotta fish. Raven, I have not heard from any other commissioners who are planning to be here between now and 4:00, and also have not received any more emails. We can go back and reiterate for people. Charles Dotson, District 2 Commissioner, has let everybody know on his Facebook page, the Charles Dotson District 2 Commissioner page. For people who live in District 2, Cam Montgomery and myself will be having a meeting at the Newtown CIC Friday, April 18th at 6 p.m. to discuss the County Powers Act and rock quarry. We want to hear from you. And Carl Bolden this morning on your show said that they will be meeting at Lucky CIC
at 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock today for District 12.
Lucky Community Center.
Yes, so we do know both of those. Again, we have, if you want to go back and listen to any of the conversation we had with Steve Glenn.
Town Talk was 7 to 9 this morning, but the conversation about the County Powers Act started at 8 o'clock, and then you had 9 o'clock, then we had 10 o'clock. So,
and then, of course, we had Christy Ross and Steve Glenn call into the Simmons Says program. So if you want to get on Facebook at any point between now and the weekend, we have Good Friday.
Hey,
we get off
Good
tomorrow.
Friday. We do.
But any time over that, we will be. We have clips posted. I'm sure we'll be clipping a little bit more to let everybody know. But we have spoken to in the last, I would say, starting at 9 a.m. yesterday. Everybody loves when you do math on in the last 31 hours.
Yeah, let's see. You had Christy Ross. You had Stevie Glenn.
Yep.
I had Carl D. Bolden. You had Brad Hillis and Scott Rubley. We had Kenny Moffitt.
Yes.
We had Taco, Michael Bell. We just had Cole Taylor.
And County Executive Terry Bell.
Yeah, but he doesn't get to vote.
But we've had 8.
So 8 voting commissioners.
And
Blaine Wiltshire's 9 voting commissioners.
We've had 9 voting commissioners who
give us their
opinions on this.
And what their constituents are saying. It's not necessarily just their opinion. It is what their constituents are telling them the way they need to vote.
Yes, that's a better way to word it. Good catch. Very good catch. Yeah, and again, it would be. I would be interested to know how Mr. Wilcher's and Mr. Taylor's phones will be ringing throughout the rest of the weekend, because now that they've kind of put out in there where they're leaning, well, not even leaning, where they're going to be on Monday.
Right.
I wonder if they'll hear more.
Yeah.
I mean, now, granted, I think they've heard it. I think if they've made their statement on that,
right,
then I feel like they've probably heard enough already.
Probably.
To know.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there'll be more people, because I think that there's going to be a lot of call to action in the next 72 hours in this community, and will continue to be a rallying cry all the way up to that meeting on Friday.
If any of our listeners are watching on Facebook, listening on listening on Facebook, however, and you haven't spoken to your commissioner and you have an opinion one way or the other, you need to talk to your commissioner in the next 3 days and let them know how you feel.
Yep.
It's very important.
Yeah. And Raven, I guess we will still have one more chance on Monday morning. I think if there are any county commissioners out there, I do not have a guest currently set up for Monday. So if there are any other county commissioners that we haven't spoken to already that will be available from 9 to 10 a.m. on Monday, get in touch with me, and we'll have a couple more. Yeah. That'll be our last chance to kind of get you out in front of the community and let your voice be heard before we have that vote on Monday night.
I do have a scheduled guest on Monday, but I tell you what, if somebody wants to come on Town Talk too, we will fit you in.
Yep, and we got that.
I just made Connor's job a lot harder.
Yeah, and there's always that OT possibility there on the Simmons Says.
Yeah, I don't get that portion because you take over my time right after. But
I can't believe I would do so.
Why your time? Your time, Raven?
My time.
I'm sorry.
She's cutting promos on me, man.
That's going to get clipped.
But no, if seriously, if just like you said, if a commissioner has time and they want to come in around 7:30, 7:45 on Monday and be on Town Talk, or if they want to come on 9 o'clock, or would you say 9:30?
Yeah, anytime between 9 and 10.
Yeah, on Simmons Says, if you want to get out there a little bit more, just let us know. We will fit you in.
Yep, and you could also be looking for, I believe, Caden's story that we talked about with him about his journey out there to Highway 8 to talk to on Stoneman Road about the rock quarry and the people that were living around there.
Yeah,
you can find that on the Main Street Journal, and I'm sure in some aspects we'll be able to pull out some of the things that we've heard in the last 2 days on the radio, and also probably put that out in writing form as well. Raven, you got any more columns that you're going to work out of this, or are you kind of?
We'll have to see.
I mean, you've spent probably no less than about 8 hours on the radio in the last 3 days talking about this between the town halls and everything.
It's been a lot, yeah. But I tell you what, I'm happy, as I stated earlier, I'm really happy to see that people in our community are actually talking about it and care enough to let their voices be heard, because a lot of times that doesn't happen in elections. People just don't show up to vote. They don't do it. Or it's after the fact of, oh, well, now I'm mad that happened because it's not what I want. It's like, well, did you talk to your commissioners or whoever preemptively to let them know your opinion? So I'm really happy that people in our community are talking to their commissioners and letting their voices be heard, because that's how this whole everything works,
Yeah, and to kind of wrap us up, and I'll let Raven close us down, but going back to a comment that was popped up right when we went live today, Brian Kell.
Oh, yeah.
Today is local radio in action. I think it's very safe to say that the radio forefathers, Chick Brown especially, would be very proud of how WBMC has responded and provided a great forum for this topic. I know this four-brother definitely is. Thank you so much, Brian Kell.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the community who is here. Charles Dotson says, I'm here. Here isn't in the building, Charles Dotson? Connor, can you go check the lobby real quick?
Yeah, just to make sure we don't have anybody else out there.
If Charles Dotson's here, we're not signing off.
Oh,
man. Yeah. Hey, Charles Dotson, if you're here, just walk on into the studio.
You have to get out of the chair, Connor.
I'll go look.
I didn't know if you were being rhetorical or not.
No, can you actually go look? It's all right. Simmons is going. We're going to see if we have anybody else.
He's training for his 5K right now.
We have anybody else coming on with us. We do? Cool. Okay, great. Hey, come on in. I tell you what, go right on there. And if you'll just put those headphones on, and then you can move that mic so that you can speak right into it. Just you can never be too close to the microphone. And then Connor will turn your mic on, And then
you can get too close to the microphone.
You sure?
Well, that's what they tell me at church.
Yeah.
Man, he probably heard us going and closing it down and said,
know,
whoa.
man, I know.
Well, Mr. Dotson, we have been previewing that you will be having a town hall-ish
Yes.
type discussion tomorrow night. Where will that be?
It will be at the old Newtown CIC.
Yes, sir.
The building is, well, Cam's got the keys to the building. It's shut down and everything. Don't have any electricity in it, but it's supposed to be nice, so we'll have it outside.
Okay.
But we just want to let everybody know in D2 what's going on, what the revised revision of this resolution sounds like.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to the Republican meeting tonight.
Okay.
Terry will be there explaining this again.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants to come to the early voting room at the admin building at 6 o'clock
Tonight. Okay.
tonight, you can hear it in person. And I've got to lead the prayer for them. So my wife is she's the secretary or the treasurer for the Republican Party. So I got to be a part of it. So,
First, what time will the Newtown CIC?
That will be at 6 o'clock also. I know it's on
Good
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of people say, Good Friday? What do you mean? That's vacation. Listen, I understand it's vacation day, but it's the only time we can squeeze it in.
Mm-hmm.
And so just take it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do what we can with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like Michael. I have not had a good night's sleep since this has come to light. I'm actually a full-time pastor in Sparta.
Mm-hmm.
And last night I just told my church, I said, look, every commissioner here in Warren County, I know I was in White County, but I said in Warren County, I said, we need your prayers.
Right.
I said, we're dealing with something here we never dealt with before. And I know this is just my first term. Hope it's not my last, but if it is, I'm going to do everything I can during my first to make an impact.
Right.
Because I've lived in this county my entire life. I played football for this county. I mean, my dad grew up in this county, and we had businesses in this county. So I love this county. I want to do all I can for it. And being the pastor side of me is compassionate with the plight going on in Dearborn and in Centertown. But then I also hear the people talk about their concern for the Powers Act.
Yeah.
I'm one. At the Thursday night meeting, I stood up and I voiced my opinion that I don't like government overreach.
Right.
I don't really like government at all. I want as least amount of government as we can have. And I've listened all day long. I've listened to Stevie when he called in, and I listened to Christy. No offense to Christy, I don't agree with a lot of stuff, but I did agree with what she said in her call-in because this is a lose-lose.
Yeah.
There's whether you are on the right side or the wrong side, or if you vote no or you vote yes, people are going to think you're wrong in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I fielded a phone call in my office yesterday from one of the ladies that spoke last Thursday. And I just told her, I said, look, I would hope that people would be courteous.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whether a commissioner that is not in your district votes no, I would hope that y'all would understand where they're coming from because they've got to do what their constituents ask them to do.
Right.
And I said, I would hope that there would not be any violence. I said, and I give them this example. I was the one that brought up the red flag law resolution. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not to have red flag laws in this Warren County. Well, there was a whole gob of people come to that meeting that night and held up signs, had my name on it and had Paul Sherrill's name on it. And there was one old man at the end of that meeting with a walking stick was fussing at me all the way from the chairs all the way up to my desk and was waving that stick at me.
Yes, sir.
And a sheriff's deputy had to step in between me and him and escorted him out. And then Jackie Matheny was outside and told him he had to get in his truck and leave. So I hope it does not come to that in this meeting. I hope that we keep our heads and we stay cool and we don't fault anybody for their opinion. Okay, is what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a big boy. I can take it, but I can give it just as much as I can take it. So And I want people just need to understand that we've got our own opinions. We're our own individual people. We are commissioners on different districts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've got to listen to our constituents, but we've got to understand we are Warren County as a whole.
Right.
And so I would hope that some of this would play in. My head, my heart's been battling for the last 2 weeks. Okay, torn between the yes and the no. And people have asked me, "How you going to vote?" I'm not going to tell you. I'm still praying about it.
Yeah.
Because I've got to go to sleep at night. I've got to look at myself in the mirror the next day after this vote on Monday and be good with what I did.
Yeah. What are your constituents telling you?
Well, from what I've heard so far from District 2, they're not in an affected area. So a lot of them are like, it's government overreach. We don't want it. I've had a few just bare minimum to say, please vote for it. But most of them have said, please don't.
Okay.
But we'll find out a little bit more about that tomorrow night.
Right.
Can you ballpark the area where District 2 kind of covers?
Covers Westwood. Now it's not the church side, but the other side, the entire Westwood, Forest Park, and Newtown on the left side of the highway, the old golf course, and it goes all the way out past the airport to Airport Lake Road, and then goes down the highway to where Scotty Keel's business is. Goes back down that road, back Old Shovel Road, back to Pioneer Building Supply.
Okay, yeah.
Hit that subdivision that was back there.
Cherokee, I think. Is that Cherokee Road over there?
South Arrowhead.
South Arrowhead.
Right in front of Pioneer or Old Pioneer.
No. What I'm talking about is who was the guy that owned Pioneer Building Supply?
Hodges or not Hodges. Gosh.
I can't remember.
I'm sorry. Amy Hodges is who I can think of. That's his daughter.
Well, it's her daddy.
Yeah, right.
That owned it. There was a subdivision that he built back on Old Shovel Road.
Okay.
So it covers
direction.
that
Sorry.
too.
Okay.
So,
you know what?
I was really just asked because I was thinking, is that you said that it's not an infected, it's not an affected area right now,
not yet,
but there's ample amount of land in that area. In some aspects, if someone
is all of your district inside city limits?
No.
Okay, no. All right.
Someone said Whispering Hills. Is that what we were looking for?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm just thinking because a lot of it is, right?
A lot of it is Westwood and Forest Park, and then where I live inside the city limits, just off of Old Shovel Road.
Okay.
But the main 4-lane is the split.
Okay.
So Newtown and down Old Shovel Road, all of that is in the county.
Gordon McGee. That's
Gordon
McGee. Yep,
McGee.
there you go.
Whispering
Thank
Hills
you, Terry.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So
Because I was just thinking, for the districts that are in the city limits, or even partially in the city limits, if people inside the city limits are saying they want you to vote no, when I just think it's a little funny because you live inside city limits in a municipality that already has all of those regulations in place, but if they're saying no, then maybe they're seeing it a little bit from a different side that, hey, we still don't want this government overreach, even if it's not impacting me. It's still, because I feel like it's infringing on a right there.
Well, a lot of them are thinking that not the immediate thing that we're dealing with, but later on down the road.
Right. And that's what I'm looking at is the future commissions, the future executive, everybody else that could be detrimental.
Which I did. I had a guy call me today before I got here, and he wasn't in my district or anything, but he was asking me how I was going to vote, and I said, I'm not going to tell you. I haven't told anybody. I said, but if this passes, and I said, just if, what your responsibility is to make sure the right people stays in the position.
Wow. Right.
Yes.
And I said, I trust the commission that's there now. Yes. I mean, those 24, I know I've been there nearly 2.5, 3 years. I think I've got to know some of them. I'm on the Econ and Ag Committee with Carl and Brad and Ron Lee and Gary Martin, and then I'm on the CCP that's over the jail with Randy England and Stephen Helton and James Hines and Casey Owens.
Right.
So I think I've got to know these folk and some of the others while I've been there, and like Scott Rubley said today, most things are cut and dry,
right.
black and white.
This isn't.
This is not.
It's not.
And I mean, everybody keeps saying, I wouldn't be in your position. Listen, I don't want to be in my position right now. So if I could get somebody to proxy my vote, but I can't. And but just pray for us. That's one thing I would. I think I'm the only minister on the commission, and I've been a pastor for 32 years.
I think everybody on there though could agree that you could use some prayers.
We could use a lot of prayer right now. I'm telling you. I think a lot of them that hadn't been praying have been praying right now. So we just need a lot of prayer. And but don't get upset if it don't go your way. Don't get upset.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see neighbors mad at neighbors.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Let's be civil. Let's have good conversation. Work it out.
Yeah. The point y'all were making about if this is we trust the commission now, but and I think a lot of people's rebuttal of that has been, well, even if it doesn't happen now, if in our comment section one person said next commission will pass and do what they want anyway, that's a moot point.
But we don't know that.
I think what Mr. Dotson just brought up and what Raven is saying is the fact is how people think about the County Powers Act will then influence in 2026, in 2030, in 2034, in 2038, and in perpetuity the fact that they're saying in a lot of aspects, if I'm a District 4 voter, one of the first questions I'm going to ask anybody that's running in District 4 is, how do you feel about the County Powers Act? I think that's going to be a perpetual question for the rest of the time.
Yeah,
because if there are people right now, as you said, we like the commission how it is. We like the people that are on the commission how it is. That's going to be a question that they're going to want to know. Because if they think, hey, I like how the commission is, and I trust them to use the County Powers Act, which we might see on Monday night, or we might see a commission that says we don't want the County Powers Act, and that's what our community does. I think that when you said people want to see it stay in place. So, you can say, well, the next ones can do it. Well, us, the community,
we can vote
can
that
say,
way.
I can keep what I want this to be by voting for the people who I know will think this way or that way on the County Powers Act, whichever way you feel.
Well, and I've said this too because I keep seeing this. I've seen several people on Facebook over the comment, not necessarily in this feed today, but previous days, say that, oh, well, if they enact something that we don't like, then we just vote them out. You can't do that you have a set term that you serve. It's not just like, oh, well, we can vote them out tomorrow or we can vote them out in a year. By that point, the damage could already be done. It can't be an overnight thing. So if we let it in at this point, then we just vote them out next time, but the damage is already there, and it could be somebody worse coming in the next time too.
Exactly. I mean, if it does get in, we got to look at this. What is the lesser evil of the two? Is it voting in somebody new that you don't know, or somebody keeping somebody there? Yeah, they may have voted it in, but at least they can keep a handle on it. And if anything else comes in, just like with the new resolution, I'm going to ask Terry tonight. I know that Robert Bratcher wrote that and drafted it, and I'm sure it's legal. But the County Powers Act doesn't change. It is what it is.
The County Powers Act is much different than this.
Even though that says it is just for mining and rock quarries and crushers, and that other Section 3 that says, well, if anything else comes up, this has to go through. Well, it's got to go through it again anyways.
Right.
It doesn't matter
whether
it's us or somebody else.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the last time it was written, we knew that the last time. I mean, changing it didn't really change anything there.
Yeah.
You brought up Thursday night, which tonight you said, what was this event that's tonight?
Tonight is the Republican board or party meeting. I'm sorry.
We've talked a lot about everybody's representation, and you're representing your district. is there any sense that in a meeting tonight with the Republican Party, is that in any way, shape, form, and influencing, or are we still in the situation where we represent our district no matter what?
Well, we represent our district no matter what. I mean, I'm a Republican through and through. I'm conservative.
Yes, sir.
Through and through. But I still got voted in by District 2 by a phenomenal margin. If I remember right, I beat 3 by 4 votes.
Yeah.
If I remember right that day. So people spoke when they voted me in, and so I want to hear them again so that I can speak for them again in this.
Yep.
And Cam feels the same way. I mean, I've spoke to him. I've been on the phone with him for days on end, talking about this and trying to get our game plan together. And so,
yeah. And again, like I said, I wasn't trying to in a gotcha way. I was just saying that the very obviously, like you said, I would assume as somebody that also votes Republican, that there's a simple leaning that you would think in a national way for what you would think about government overreach. But, but we also, it seems like, because Mr. Bell will be there tonight, you'll be there tonight, I'm sure others will be there tonight. There's also hey, we have to try to figure out how this applies locally as well.
Right. That's the conundrum, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
We have our values. To me, less government is always great.
Yeah,
I can't stand government. I'm sorry. I know I'm a part of it, but I tell my church, I said, do not call me a politician. I'm a preacher.
Yes, sir.
Just because I hold office, I'm a preacher. I'm not a politician. I'm standing in the gap to where the Lord put me. So but I got to do what my district says. But here again, this is not just about. When you get down to brass tacks, it's not just about District 2, District 12, 10, or the rest of them. It's about Warren County.
Yeah.
Because you got to weigh it out, because if you let one in one district, it could wind up in yours the next time. And I called Terry Wednesday, and he said, well, I don't really want to hear y'all coming back 6 months from now and whining and griping and complaining if y'all didn't vote this in. What are we going to do? And I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
I get where everybody's saying, where everybody's on edge and tensions are high.
Yeah.
So here again, I would hope that the people of Warren County would give your commissioners a little grace.
Yeah.
In this.
It's just happening really fast.
It is. Too fast.
Too fast. Yeah. I think we need to take a step back. We need to get a little bit more facts, because, again, all of this is just ifs, ands, or buts. We don't have anything, actual concrete evidence that is what is going in those locations.
Concrete, I like what you did there.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't mean to make that dad joke, but I did.
Yeah. But no, I agree. I just think that there's a lot of people that are still saying that. I mean, we Chris Sullins was in this chair right here beside me last night saying point blank verbatim when it came out. When it came out earlier this week, they said, well, we can confirm 2 are coming to Centertown. And then Chris Sullins sits in this chair and says, I talked to one of the landowners that they were saying it's going to Centertown. And he said to my face, I'm not selling if it was a rock quarry.
Right.
So, again, if this, and we asked Terry Bell on the round table today, I said, if we were using the word soil sifting instead of rock quarries, will we be having this discussion? Right. And I don't think we would be.
No, we wouldn't. No. Because rock quarries and rock crushers.
Everybody's
and blasting,
thinking of dynamite and big loud bangs.
I grew up in construction.
Yeah.
And I've done the blasting before. I helped do the sewer lift stations here in McMinnville. I dug down. They were supposed to be 19 feet deep. I dug down 14 hit solid limestone rocks. We had to blow 5 foot of rock out of that hole, and it was probably as close to that wall over there to the next house.
Right.
And when I even when he drilled the holes and put the dynamite in, I still had to put 6 foot of cover over it. But it blew that cover 150 foot in the air. A woman was looking out the window, rolled her in her living room, just rolled her. She was looking out the window, and all of a sudden the window shades is going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean it can do some damage, and that's what scares people. And I understand all this, but yeah, if it was rock, if it was sifting, We wouldn't be talking about this right now.
There's a really good comment on Facebook real quick that I want to ask because I know we're getting close to running out of time. But has the county addressed how Titles 59 and 69 severely limit the County's Power Act to control mining? So I'm assuming this is Titles 59 and 69 in the entire resolution. Have you heard
We haven't heard anything about that. And actually, like Terry said this morning, we're going to have to define mining.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, we talk about with the source. I mean, there's aspects of this where you're, or again, we had the hypothetical about what happens if someone, strikes it rich on their ground and finds out that they have some kind of rare mineral that they never knew about, and all of a sudden say, well, we just said that you couldn't mine because of the County Powers Act. So, well, this isn't what y'all are talking about.
Well, and he said
it.
that the cryptocurrency mining also wasn't included in that, and that's one of the lawsuits that DeKalb County is in right now because they're trying to regulate that because people are complaining that the fans are too loud or whatever at that location.
Exactly.
And so if that's not covered under it, then
and it continues to come into we're rushing to a situation
I just think it's
right
too
now
fast.
that I don't know if we completely have gotten to.
Yeah.
And again, I know I've seen it brought up a lot, and I don't think we've talked to it a lot and discussed with it. And Mr. Dotson, I'm not trying to put you on the spot on this at all, but we keep hearing everybody around us has done it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two of those one of those counties is going to be in the state Supreme Court next month in May.
And the thing is, if the Supreme Court rules against them,
then it's
this is a moot point.
Yeah,
right.
And then DeKalb County's county attorney in the very end of March also said that after instituting the County Powers Act, that they are going to have to that made a recommendation, again, WJLE, Dwayne Page reporting, that they have made a recommendation that they need to go talk to some specialized lawyers in Nashville because if they pursue trying to apply the County Powers Act, they could be in three different lawsuits, 3 separate lawsuits. So I think everybody, while we say we got to get this done, I think everybody also is trying to kind of in that waiting pattern to see what happens with Grundy County and Tinsley Properties in late May, because if, as Mr. Dawson just said, if the state Supreme Court rules in the favor of Tinsley Properties, you really starting to think, does this County Powers Act have any teeth at all? Well, even if you do amend it and change it.
Let me just go ahead and throw this out: the mines the quarries may just be affecting certain places, but lawsuits affect every one of us.
Right, and it could. I mean, DeKalb County is going to be paying loads of money in legal fees over the next couple of years as they're in these 3 lawsuits.
If they pursue those
pursue them, correct.
If they pursue applying the County Powers
Where's
Act.
that money come from? When you're
That's
county
taxpayer
government.
money.
Exactly. So
it comes out of somebody's budget.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Dawson, we appreciate
this has been great. Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Yep.
Like I said, I wasn't going to let none of the others, show me up.
Yeah, and again, give us one last a reminder of where you will be tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, Newtown CIC, 6 o'clock. Yep. We'll try to have it in the building, but it don't have any electricity in it if it's a little hot. But if not, we'll have it outside. So as many from D2 show up.
Okay.
So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, I think let's wrap it up. I sure do appreciate all the commissioners. So that is now 10 commissioners.
Well, I think that's our
10 commissioners plus County Executive Bell, who we have heard from. So really do appreciate 10 out of the 24 coming in and talking. Like I said earlier, we were talking. I know that we have each individually spoken to a few others, but don't really want to put them on record unless they're not here or given their permission. So. I appreciate everybody that's been out and being able to put this out for everybody to hear and listen to. So.
Yep, and again, I will put out the last call for if you want to come in on Monday. I will hold my guest list.
Yep.
For the rest of the weekend. You can get to me. I really will probably. I got 3 chairs. I got 3 chairs when I'm in here solo, so we can't take any more than 3. So first 3 that reach out to me and tell me they can be here between 9 and 10 a.m. on Monday, we will bring them in here and we can have a last little wrap up on this. And then I'm sure that we're going to probably be in meetings before all said and done about how we're going to how we're going to end up covering this on Monday night when this vote happens.
Say so.
I'm volunteering you.
Thanks, appreciate that.
On Monday, I can tell you where I'm probably going
to
be
get up earlier than you do on Monday mornings.
I know, but on Monday afternoons, I'm at ball games all night.
I mean Tuesday.
I'm leaving here to go to a senior night.
If I had to guess, I'm pretty sure this vote is going to go way past my bedtime into Monday night.
You think so?
I absolutely
2
think.
o'clock in the afternoon?
No, the meeting doesn't start till 6:30.
Yeah. She makes it to at least 5 o'clock.
At least 5 o'clock. Yeah.
No. So I don't know. I bet Rob and Seth and maybe Caden or a few of them, one or the other. I bet they'll be at the meeting that night.
We'll see Chad over there.
Oh, that sounds.
He's already on the mic on Monday nights anyways. He can just keep it going.
He could just go on location there.
Yeah, we put it.
You guys are really trying not to get donut holes in the morning next time.
Hannah is the one that brought us donut holes.
I brought you some Monday. Thank you.
Oh, you did.
Did he
bring you donut holes?
No.
Also, but I know.
I wonder who his favorite morning show is.
Yeah, I also know what Connor's saying now is basically saying, "Hey, y'all." While y'all are saying this, he's just starting to realize he's going to end up with more work too.
Yeah,
is that where we're going there?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured so.
Because Chad also has a show around that time. That means I'd have to go do a live remote. I'm already here.
Yeah.
Or you could just say, "Hey, I'm already here. I can't do the live remote."
Unless the host of the show does the live remote, then.
Yeah.
Well,
then you have to be on board.
That's
all right. Well, we are gonna get off. We appreciate all of our listeners that have went through with the last almost 2 hours with us. So we appreciate everybody, all the comments. Joe Schoolfield, I know, has been fielding a bunch, and he's going to send me some more information. I'm going to do some research on the ones that he mentioned, Titles 59 and 69, that actually limit some of the things per mining. He said there's also one about water. So I'm interested to see what else that says, because there's a lot that goes to with the County Powers Act. And so I'm still not sure on how they can adopt one and then turn right around and say, "Oh, none of that actually applies. We're going to do this instead." So
I think
I don't really know. So
and we will also, like I said, we have Raven will have Town Talk on 7 and 9.
Yes. So if anybody wants to come in prior to 8 o'clock, we will fit you in. You just got to reach out and let me know so we can coordinate it.
Yep. We will be on this topic, and of course, the Main Street Journal will be all over the covering of the county commission that night, and we will be. Everywhere you want to be, Main Street Media.
Yep.
As we said again, we want to thank Brian Kell for his tremendous
that was
message
great.
there. In fact,
that was a good comment.
In fact, if you didn't hear it the first time, I'm going to make sure that you hear it again, because it was so good that I want to read it again. Brian Kell says, today is what local radio in action. I think it's very safe to say that radio forefathers, Chick Brown especially, would be very proud of how WBMC has responded and provided a great forum for this topic. I know this brother definitely is, with 2 thumbs up radio and a mic. Brian Kell, thank y'all. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. I think the views have been the views and the response have been very encouraging for us.
Well, thank you for listening. My name is Raven Young.
I'm Jeff Simmons.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.